and welcome to the Tech Open Air Studio 16. So my name is Robin Waters, I'm with TechEU, and I'm with Siraj from Atomico, an investment firm that's pretty well known. Welcome. Is this your first time in TOA?
It is, yes. Thanks for having us.
But not your first time in Berlin, I assume?
No. I'm out here almost every month.
Right. So you work for Atomico, which is obviously a global investment firm that originated out of Europe, founded by one of the early founders of Skype, famously. So how would you describe the Atomico? What do you do?
Yeah, so I joined Atomico about 6 months ago. Prior to that, I was an entrepreneur, and Atomico invested in my company about 10 years ago, in 2007. So I've known Atomico for a while, and my company went through several rounds of funding. The reason I joined Atomico is, I feel like it's a different firm. It's much more visionary, founder-friendly, and that really comes down to his DNA. And Nicholas Zenstrom, obviously, founding Skype, and the kind of values that he brought to the company. But also, we're very focused on helping companies scale internationally and really grow. And the team we've assembled, I feel, is unique in Europe, and certainly I'd put them amongst the very best, even if you count US VCs.
Yeah. You mentioned the team, which, by the way, is very founder-led, but not just the partners. It's also, you have entrepreneurs in residence, executives in residence. So you're building a great team there. How hard is it to attract those people? Because there's new funds popping up all over the place. There's increasingly US VCs looking at Europe. Asia's coming as well. So how hard is it to kind of build a solid team like that?
No, that's a great question. Well, we're very proud of that team, and I think, speaking as a recent addition myself, I can speak with some authority on what drove me to join Atomico. Sure. I spoke to founders. I spoke to I'm one of them, but then that was a while ago. I spoke to recent founders of Atomico portfolio companies, and the reviews off the record were just glowing, really, really glowing. And that's the kind of company I want to be working at, because I'm doing this because I enjoy helping companies. And I think a lot of the XIRs, executives and entrepreneurs in residence, are driven by very much the same things. So we've been very successful in attracting the best people, and that trend is continuing. I think we've got an A team right now, and I don't see that changing.
Right. I think you were being a little bit too modest when you mentioned you did your own company. You actually started your own company and you sold it for quite a lot of cash. So having had a successful exit, does it also help advising the companies in the portfolio?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I certainly.
It's part of the game, right?
Yeah, but certainly it gives me credibility as well, because you often see these patterns of VCs who have not had the experience and are trying to be pedantic or prescriptive, and I've seen good VCs. I've seen okay VCs. From my own experience. So that helps me understand how I can be most helpful. So you don't go in and say, okay, we know better than you, you do this, right? It's all about listening and working as a partner.
Right. Now, Atomico recently celebrated its 10th anniversary. So how do you think it's evolved over time? Because I remember when in the beginning they said they were stage agnostic, region agnostic, so they'll invest anywhere as long as the company's great. Is that still the case? Or do you limit yourself to more later stage, certain geographies that you know well? Yeah,
I think there's a misperception that we only do late stage deals. We'll actually do Series A deals and beyond. Maybe not really, really small ones, but we encourage founders to talk to us early. And geographically, we focus predominantly on Europe. Sometimes where it makes sense, where we can help companies broadly, we'll make some later stage investments elsewhere, but really our focus is Europe. And as to how Atomico has changed, I think in the last year, 2 years, things have really, really gelled. It's the team has come together in a really strong way, and there's this energy, an ambition level that having joined recently, I don't know any different, but from what I've heard, it's really a great time for us. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be back in Europe because my company was in the US. Right. Back then, when I I'm European originally, but back when I started my company and when I went out there for my master's, prior to that, the only place to start a company was the US for many factors, and I feel like that's totally changed now. There are so many elements that have come together to make Europe in many ways actually even more attractive. But these tech hubs have evolved that have the funding, the expertise, the long-term patient capital, the talent, the examples, which are so important, inspirational, stories from other founders. These things have come together in a big way, and I think, this times ahead are going to be really interesting for us based on that.
Right. Well, the fact that we're in Berlin, Berlin's a really good example of all that. It's coming together as an ecosystem. Lots of ingredients already there, but still feels like early stages in the development, but very exciting. So what did you get out of TOA yourself as a first-time attendee?
It's an event that, I go to a good number of events, right? It's an event to me feels like, even though it has technical depth, we have some really insightful, amazing speakers that have been here, still they've managed to keep the subject matter from being too dry. It feels fun, even when it rains like it is now. It's just a good balance, and I look forward to being here many times again.
Great, so you're coming back next year?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for watching.